and criminal and aggravated traffic offenses dealing with drugs, shoplifting, disorderly conduct, fighting, things of that nature. Housing and Code Division. Uh-oh, Randy, I think we lost the PowerPoint presentation there.
I think we lost Brandy. Hold on.
Oh no.
Okay, hold on. Now let's do a reset. See if I can pull it up on my end. Here we are. We have Brandy back again. Hey, Brandy. So everyone, if you forgot to go get your water or coffee, this would be the time right now. Bear with us. What slide were you on?
I think it was, maybe it was.
This is the second slide. I'm sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button. My apologies. But it's the second slide. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so picking up where we left off, the Housing and Code Division deals with residential and commercial code. That's your zoning violations, violations concerning all city issued permits. And then lastly, the General Traffic Division, all Title 40 offenses, that's your speeding, suspended license, rules of the road violations. So this is a workload snapshot of the municipal court. We have about 10 municipal court judges. We hear an average of 815 cases per judge, and also closing out 3,302 cases per week. This is the organizational flow chart of the court, with the chief judge being the head, and we have the court administrator, Rashida Davis, and they each have their own division or sort of portfolio that they run. Brandy Reeves, in which you've met, she's a deputy court administrator, and So Young, which is the deputy chief clerk. These are some of the departments of the municipal court, some of which you're more so familiar with, such as data management. They process all citations, files, schedules court hearings, and manages individual case data inside case management system. Restore Atlanta, as I've previously mentioned, they provide alternative sentencing options and diversion programming. The clerk's office, which is responsible for maintaining the official court records, including all citations, case filings, and orders of the court. Pretrial and your warrants department assists with the supervision of released individuals, provides criminal history information, and processes all warrants. The courtroom operations that ensures all cases are filed properly and efficiently adjudicated. provides administrative and clerical support for courtrooms during sessions as well. So the Georgia court system has 8 classes of court, starting from left to right: Superior Court, State Court, Juvenile Court, Probate Court, Magistrate Court, and the Municipal Court, Supreme Court, and the Court of Appeals. Now, the Municipal Court, cities in Georgia establish municipal courts to adjudicate traffic offenses, local ordinance, valid cases, and in some cities here, misdemeanor cases such as shoplifting, possession of marijuana, things of that nature. The Municipal Court of Atlanta is the largest municipal court in the state of Georgia. It hears cases related to traffic, DUI, housing and code, criminal, and other offenses, as previously mentioned. And now I'll take it over to Courtney.
Samantha, if you want me to start sharing here, I can. Miss Courtney, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Courtney Smith. This slide right here talks about the case workflow information. The court dates are set by the officer issuing the citation. And then you have the public defenders who are available to those who cannot afford or an attorney. And then you have their penalties include monetary fines up to $1,000 and sometimes jail time up to a year. These penalties act as a punishment and deterrence. And then you have the housing code and code cases, which are considered criminal cases. However, the primary goal of the court is fairness, impartiality, and justice. This is the court process. Once an offense is committed by a person, as you can see, the flow chart can go 2 different ways. On your left, you have the citation issued, which is issued by the officer. And on that citation, at the bottom of the citation, there will be a court date, which is the date for the arraignment hearing. And when the person shows up for the arraignment hearing, they have the option to plead guilty or not guilty. If a person pleads guilty, they will receive their sentencing at that time. And if they plead not guilty, they will receive another court date, which they will have to show up for court again at a later court date. And then there's rare instances where a case might be dismissed for an individual. On the right side, you have when offense is committed, a person might be arrested, and then they're sent to the city jail, where they either have an arraignment if they're in custody. And at that time of arraignment, again, they'll go through the flow chart where they'll either plead guilty or not guilty. Or sometimes when you're sent to the city jail, you have the opportunity to post a bond or be released on your own recognizance.
And if you're released on your own recognizance, that basically means you don't have to pay any money. You simply sign your name on the dotted line, and then you will be free to go without having paid any money via cash, property, or credit card. What's happening? All right.
Next is about Restore Atlanta, as Ms. Trevian Thompson had mentioned before, is one of the programs or divisions in our courthouse. Restore Atlanta takes a non-traditional approach to helping low offenders by using alternative sentencing measures to help to expose them to information needed to make better life choices. The goal of Restore Atlanta is to reduce recidivism while simultaneously providing defendants with an education and services and treatment that might help them live a more productive lifestyle and maintain a clean record. Some of the programs under Restore Atlanta are the Teens Learning Control, which is also called the TLC program. This program offers traffic offenders between the age of 17 and 25 an opportunity to learn about the Georgia traffic laws, to improve their individual driving skills, and to understand the consequences and actions that can help enhance their decision-making process. We also have Restorative Justice. Restorative Justice is a program that offers offenders involved in quality of life and minor crimes under the age of 25 without any prior felony convictions an opportunity to resolve their case in a non-traditional way by engaging them in community service, taking courses designed to address underlying personal issues, and increase their ability to make healthier choices. The next one is Restorative Justice, which is the clinical division under Restore Atlanta. The clinical division of Restorative Justice is designed to assist individuals whose charges may be related to a mental health or substance abuse issue. This alternative sentencing program provides defendants an opportunity to identify the underlying cause and professionally address psychological problems with the assistance of staff psychological specialists. The last is the Homeless Court Program. The Homeless Court Program was created to assist and support chronically and episodically homeless individuals in resolving minor offenses that are often a result of their homelessness. With the oversight of a case manager. The program emphasizes the treatment, stabilization, and rehabilitation of the defendant as the main components. Next, we have highlighted for you the amount of cases via a bar graph that come throughout the municipal court within a year. This highlights the cases for the fiscal year of 2023. As you can see, we had a total of 92,420 cases filed. We did close 87,096 cases. That is a closure rate of 94%. And if you look at the bar graph, you can see that our lowest numbers were around November and December, and that is because that is the holiday time. Next is the criminal case metrics that we've highlighted for you for the fiscal year of 2023. We had a total cases filed were 8,341. We closed about 4,997 cases that year. That gave us a closure rate of 60%. And once again, you see a dip in November, December. And once again, that is because that's around the holiday time. That concludes our presentation. And as Ms. Brandy Reeves said, if you have any questions or concerns, she will be able to address those at this time. But we would like to take this time to thank you for allowing us to come and share what we do in the municipal court with you today.
Okay, Ms. Gay?
I have a question. I had a car accident in April, and the person that I hit was at fault. And I got a call from a solicitor asking me about the accident, and they were saying she was trying to do some sort of pretrial diversion or something. Was that through the municipal court then?
Okay, yes, ma'am. It was at the municipal court, but that is a program, the PTIT program, which is called pretrial intervention. It's something that's run directly through the solicitor's office. So the court does not have a program. The only pretrial, or I guess we don't even have a pretrial program, but the only programs that we run are through Restore Atlanta. However, the pretrial intervention program is one designed for low-level offenders throughout the solicitor's office. So once they come on, they could give you more details about how one qualifies what
Okay.
the qualifiers are for that program, because that's something that is completely in their control.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Ms. Brooks?
I'm just wondering about Restore. Do we really have enough resources in the city to give the kind of support that the Restore program needs to offer?
So oftentimes no, which is why we have implemented the clinical piece. And so to your point, oftentimes it's very difficult to identify providers to get competency evaluations. By way of example, those individuals that are on the right side of the chart that have been detained, if they are not competent or they are suffering from a mental health problem that prevents them from understanding the court process and being able to assist their attorney, whether that be a public defender or a private attorney, they must be taken to get a competency evaluation, because generally Grady, or the Department of Human Resources through Georgia, is the only agency that's able to provide that service for indigent clients. We at the court have enlisted our own clinical provider to assist in trying to spearhead this process. Once we have done that, we have been able to identify, in conjunction with the public defender's office or the solicitor's office, housing programs. Oftentimes, when we're talking about the homelessness problem, the issue is housing. And so we do have MOUs, excuse me, memorandums of understanding with different agencies that have earmarked at least 3 to 5 beds at each one of these agencies for our defendants in particular. And so oftentimes resources are an issue. And so the court has done what we can to curtail waiting in line, to curtail trying to find placement by identifying in-house resources. And so, yes, we are building upon the resources that are in the community, but we are also adding to our portfolio our own task force of individuals that can provide those same services in a more efficient manner.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Melody? Melody Ford?
I'm on mute. Sorry. Good morning.
Good
I'm with
morning.
the South Atlanta Civic League, and I'm over code enforcement. What happens when a citizen doesn't follow through with the code violation? Are they going to municipal court? And then what's the process?
Yes, thank you. We didn't elaborate very much on the code enforcement piece, but we also handle those nuisance cases, those dilapidated buildings, those overgrown properties, those properties with windows torn, busted out or abandoned. We do handle those. Those cases are generally code enforcement will go to the homes. Either a resident will call and say, hey, my neighbor hasn't cut his grass, or this apartment complex is causing a lot of problems in the neighborhood. And so code enforcement will go out. They will identify what the violations are based on the city code. After that, they will turn in that ticket. The solicitor's office works with code enforcement, just like the solicitor's office works with APD. Code enforcement, to be clear though, is run through the Atlanta Police Department. They are just a separate division of the Atlanta Police Department, but they work for APD. They will turn in their tickets just like the regular patrol officers turn in traffic citations. Code enforcement comes to the court and turns in their citations as well. Once we get those, the solicitor's office also gets a copy. They investigate. Again, as the court, we simply provide the space and the judges to hear those cases. The chief judge is the only judge that hears our nuisance and code violation cases. And so once those are ready, they will be placed on his calendar. Generally speaking, those parties often have attorneys, and the attorneys and the solicitor's office get together oftentimes to negotiate. The city is not in the business of taking people's property. We don't want to take people's property. We want people to come in compliance so that they can keep their own property, but such that it is a quality of life for all of the individuals living in that very same community. And so if they cannot come to an agreement, then yes, the last resort is that the city can take the property. Chief judge will sign an order to say that this property should be torn down. It should be deconstructed. It should be provided to the city. And then that is another process and oftentimes ends up in appeal. And so it does take a long time because after, you say, I'm going to take your property, people realize that it's serious and
Right.
it can go through multiple stages of appeal to ensure that due process was afforded.
And with the overgrowth, do they just pay a fine?
So yes, so once that is being brought to our attention and it comes before the court and they are fined, the court does in fact find that they are out of compliance. Every day that it takes them to get back in compliance is a fine. And
Ooh,
so
every
they are
day.
paying hefty fines, absolutely. So once sentence is imposed, they have until, we'll say, 20 days to get it together. If it's August 15th, you have until August 30th. If it is not in compliance by August 30th, every day beyond the 30th is an additional $75 fine. And that is written in the city code. And so those individuals, after they come to court and are found to be out of compliance, absolutely, they are fined per day.
Yeah, that's a huge problem in my area. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once the solicitors come on, they I know Miss Erica is good about taking notes. And if it's a real problem, they will send an investigator out to that particular property to kind of identify what's going on in conjunction with code enforcement. And so if you have that information available when they get on, I'm sure she'll be happy to accept it.
All right, thanks again.
Absolutely, not a problem.
We have a question in the chat from Ms. Nafisa Burson. Are burned down homes a code enforcement issue? It has been, I guess they're referring to a house that has been down well over a year.
Absolutely. That's a property that you should also give to the solicitor's office and forward to them so that they can put that at the top of their list, especially if it's causing, again, what we oftentimes in the street call trap houses, or it's causing homeless people to stay in, or it's causing a lot of riffraff in the neighborhood. Absolutely.
Do we have any more questions for the municipal court? We are 30 minutes ahead of time.
Well, that means we were thorough. I'd like to thank my team for that. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
All right. You all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Brandy. I really appreciate you. And your
Absolutely. Feel
support.
free to reach out again. I'm Brandy Reeves, the Deputy Chief Court Administrator. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out. You all have a wonderful day.
And everyone, this presentation will be it will be in the email that I send out at the end of the course, so you'll have all that information. Henry,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
let me see. Henry, are you ready to go? Wait.
I am.
All right, well, let's keep it moving.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Henry Avalay. I'm a public defender here at the City of Atlanta Public Defender's Office. I'm going to be talking about housing court and the public defender's office. So let me cue up presentation. All right, Samantha, do you see it? I think I'm sharing my screen.
Not quite yet. All right, it's loading. And see it.
Okay. All right, so again, good morning. My name is Henry Avalay. I'm one of the attorneys with the Public Defender's Office, and here's an overview of what I'll be going over about the Public Defender's Office and housing court. Housing court with the City of Atlanta, well, in the City of Atlanta Municipal Court, there's a housing court division. That means that all cases that involve housing violations goes to the housing court. So in the housing court, obviously we have a variety of different issues, which are some are political, some are not, but you know, gentrification and code enforcement kind of go hand in hand, which I'll get into that later on in the presentation. Criminalizing of the poor, which can occur with the housing code, you know, indirectly and directly, just depending on who's using the housing code for that mechanism. I have a section here to why this should matter to you. We'll show you the indigent levels of income that's you need not to exceed in order to be able to qualify to have an attorney represent you. And then we'll talk about the prospective average cost of some of the repairs that have to take place. And then lastly, we outreach and community engagement in our office as well. We'll talk about that a little as well. So the Public Defender's Office at the City of Atlanta is a little different. It's what we call holistic. We try to not only help our client with the underlying criminal case or housing case or traffic case, we try to help them, put them in a situation to prevent themselves from being in that situation again. So, i.e., if you don't have a license, we'll try to help you obtain a driver's license if you were obviously stopped for like suspended license, things of that nature. Another holistic aspect of our office is that we have social workers and advocates that work with our clients. Sometimes they get mental health issues. Oftentimes in housing court, we have situations where we have official and unofficial diagnosis of hoarding. So we have our social workers work with individuals who may exhibit symptoms of hoarding. And of course, that could be about many violations of the housing code, which junk, trash, and debris accumulated around the home. In addition with high grass, in addition to having, trailers and things that are not supposed to be on the property, cars and junk cars and debris. Is a multitude of things that can accumulate over years and months of accumulating different various items, which the city sometimes define as junk, trash, and debris. But again, like I said, we take a social approach to all of our cases. Not all public defenders' offices have social workers and advocates that help with like child placement, medical and mental health, housing, connecting them with resources to try to obtain affordable housing or housing, period. We try to aid our clients in prevent recidivism, recurring charges and things of that nature. And we also help aid in appeals when individuals decide to appeal an unfavorable ruling that they receive from the court, whether that's a unfavorable ruling on a legal issue or unfavorable ruling on the underlying charge for which they were charged for. And a little bit about the city code from a housing perspective. Most codes, when you charge for a housing violation, it's defined, who's responsible is defined by this code that's before you. As you can see, an owner is defined specifically, which is outlined in front of you. Again, occupant is different from an owner, and obviously an operator is different from an occupant and an owner. But, once an individual is charged with a housing violation, the city has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this individual is either an owner, occupant, or an operator, or all three. In some cases, you can be more than one at the same time. So this picture that's before you is a picture of sometimes what you see when the area is rapidly changing, most of the time for the good, sometimes for the bad. But as you see, the house to the left looks like a multi-unit housing development. And there's obviously several violations here where you see the high grass and things of that nature. Property that's not as kept up to code as the property that's next to it. And also you see that a new property like this makes the property look like it's blighted to an extent. However, in the picture to the left and back to referencing to the code that I talked about, either an owner can be charged with code violations, an occupant, like let's say this person was renting from the owner, or a person that's operating. Shows how the various level of culpability can come up in housing court. So again, criminalization of the poor, as I mentioned before, it places the blame on the poor for their poverty. I can give you an example of this. It's like if you have an older individual who's on a fixed income and had not kept up with the maintenance on their home like they should have. Let's say i.e. they needed to paint at some point and they did not paint the property, and you have chip paint. You have other issues that arise that are violations of the housing code. And again, if this person doesn't bring their property into compliance within a certain time, they can face, lien on the property. They can face losing the property. They can face going to jail. They can face hefty fines. Numerous not violations, but numerous penalties, which can help actually displace them, and sometimes they end up losing the home in a way that doesn't force them to lose the home, but because of this, the process of the system, the end result is they may lose their home. But we use education as a tool to, defeat poverty. Another example can be is investors who are heavily invested in certain areas. They would use code enforcement as a tool to help crack down on properties that are not, there could be a question to whether they're in compliance or not. But again, if you call code enforcement on this individual who's elderly, can't really, repair a roof, and code enforcement is now, charging fines, and they're being convicted for these violations, then that can accumulate. And eventually this person may end up selling to that investor that originally told no, because now at this point I'm facing, criminal penalties, and, I'm going to lose my home. And 9 times out of 10, they're in a situation where they may take a low ball offer and not reap the benefit that they should be entitled to for that property. So again, I mentioned some of this before, but why should this matter to you? Each city ordinance, which a housing code violation is not a misdemeanor. It's a little bit lower than a misdemeanor, but you only can violate a housing code violation. A housing code ordinance in whatever particular city that you may be in. So if the city of South Fulton have a certain housing code, resident in the city of Atlanta could not violate that city of Fulton housing code, because one, they're not in their jurisdiction, and then that housing code doesn't apply to those residents. In this situation, a city of Atlanta housing ordinance wouldn't apply to someone who's living in the city of South Fulton. And sometimes this can be confusing because a lot of different cities has arisen over the period of the last couple of years. So jurisdictional issues can come up, which is another reason why things get appealed, and things can take a long time to get resolved in the court. Now, some of the clients that we represent are charged with, like, again, peeling paint, damaged sausage boards, roof, overgrowth. In the city of Atlanta, if your grass is over 12 inches or higher, then that's considered a violation. Now, typically, if you see this, typically this would be the quickest way it can be handled is by communicating with that individual owner, operator, or will they say that the individuals at the home and responsible for the home at this point. The quickest way to get it rectified is trying to talk to that individual there. You can call housing code or code enforcement. And typically what code enforcement would do is come talk to them about it and see if they can get them in compliance before just writing them a citation. So typically I wouldn't say that housing code uses a citation as their first defense. They talk to them. But again, you all or individuals that live in a neighborhood could communicate together to be more effective at controlling what goes on in that neighborhood. Obviously, when you have all willing parties, that works better. Sometimes when you don't have willing parties, then you have to get, code enforcement involved, and that's when the court and judicial system gets involved as well. So again, why should this matter to you? The type of clients that largely exist for, having, you know, I would say these are exceptional situations, so don't happen all the time. The elderly. The elderly is a group that is, you know, harmed sometimes because again, they're the individuals on a fixed income who's, you know, worked their whole life and now they're not in a situation where they can't take care of themselves. They're in a situation where they can just meet their needs. But if anything else comes up, like, oh, I need a roof, because now I have a leaky roof. Now, leaky versus dilapidated roof, it's two different things, you know, because the dilapidated roof can come into a situation where their individual may not need to be in their home because of other, you know, health concerns by having exposed roofs. Like if you can see the sunlight and things of that nature, that happens as well. But again, the mentally ill, the disabled, and the homeless, and there's people who live below poverty anyhow. So what you see now is the federal poverty guidelines. I know it's 2023 and it's 2021. The reason I didn't update this is because I don't believe it has updated significantly. These figures really were developed, from my understanding, in the 70s, 1960s, and these are the same wages that are being used today in 2023 to determine whether an individual should be appointed an attorney. So as you can see, a family of four, if the individual makes $26,700 or $26,501, that is too much. They will not qualify for any public defender or assistance from an attorney free of charge. So, you know, when we say criminalizing the poor, just how this can occur sometimes, because you got an individual who cannot afford a private attorney by any means and does not have access to competent representation before the court while they're going through this quasi-criminal situation from a housing. And also these are the federal guidelines that any of the courts go by, whether it's a municipal court, a state court, a superior court. These are the guidelines that they use to determine whether they will receive an attorney to help them with their case without charge or with minimal charge, I would say. So let me go back, sorry. So again, these are some of the average costs that individuals that we represent with various violations. You know, again, a new roof could cost $12,000. A roof repair for a minimum job is $1,000 to $3,000 for a large job. Paint of the exterior home could be upwards of $2,581. New windows, along with labor, door installation, and things of that nature. These numbers are very conservative. They don't take into account inflation. They don't take into account, you know, shortages of labor, shortages of materials, which can astronomically, you know, increase the price. So these numbers are conservative and are more in line with pre-pandemic numbers. So we do community engagement as an office, and the city of Atlanta as a whole, whether we work in a public defender's office, the solicitor's office, the municipal court, we all have our various engagement patterns with the community. And, you know, some of the things that we would do, like we would get together and like paint a home in order to bring a home into compliance. Or a client into compliance. Now, can we do that for every client? No, but we do partner with like House Proud. House Proud, again, has other vendors that help them, which can include like Lowe's and Home Depot, where, you know, we can get the materials from House Proud, which the only thing that they need is labor, and we will be the manual labor to help them, again, paint the house and do minimum projects that we can help an elderly or older veteran to bring their home into compliance, to actually like keep them in the home and also avoid any additional fees and things that we know they can't pay for at any rate with their income. Again, this is some pictures of outreach that we've done. Again, paint, roofs, help repair a wooden fence down at the left. And then we do homeless outreach and a driver's license restoration program, which I kind of mentioned that before. An individual comes in with a license, or an individual is charged with driving unsuspended license. We'll try to help them get their license back. That could be anywhere from, a traffic ticket in a different jurisdiction for which they didn't show up to court and their license got suspended, not for the conviction, but for them not just showing up. And that suspension can last indefinitely. And so the individual needs to go back and forth to work. They're going to be stopped and charged with, driving with no license. And it's just a collateral and a compounding effect on the individual, because they start to collect all of these driving with suspended license charges, and at your fourth driving with suspended license charge, it's considered a felony. So you can become a convicted felon for this operating a motor vehicle without having a license. So, and one good thing about the municipal court is that obviously we're the largest court, municipal court in the Southeast, and in addition to that, obviously we have more resources than your typical municipal court, which they may have, one judge, one prosecutor, and they may form out the public defender part of it, meaning it goes to a private attorney who acts as a public defender to represent individuals in that court. So, and again, when you go to these local jurisdictions, you may not have an individual that tells you what you need to do prior to making a decision about the case, because oftentimes you can make a decision with a traffic violation that could negatively impact you by another suspension, because that comes with the underlying conviction and you not know that. So driver's license restoration is a huge thing that we do as a whole at the City of Atlanta that helps individuals get back in compliance with having a license. GED tutoring is something that we help with at the At Promise centers here located in various places in the City of Atlanta where they have At Promise centers, which is a nonprofit organization that helps with GED tutoring. They provide some workforce training and back to school and try to help keep kids in school that are at risk. And the last thing that we do is Know Your Rights training, which we will come out to NPUs, we go out to churches, we go out to all kinds of different organizations and provide a Know Your Rights training. So individuals will know what to do when interacting with a government official or a police officer. So these are some of the sources. And again, let's see, this will be provided to you where you can go to this PowerPoint at a later time and get those resources. So that is the end of my presentation. I will take any questions that you have about housing court, the court in general. If I have any knowledge on that, I will share with it, or the public defense office.
Sorry, Ms. Ford, I didn't realize I was on mute. My apologies, but Melanie, you can go right ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. Would you happen to know how long a house can be boarded up? I live next to a house that's boarded up. She does keep the grass cut and that's about it. It's been 5 years.
Well, so that's an interesting situation. So here's the thing. Boarded up, actually the City of Atlanta will require you to board the house up at a certain point if it's vacant. The City of Atlanta has a vacant house registry where you have to register a house if it's vacant. And if it's vacant for a certain period of time, they will require you to board it up to actually prevent individuals from actually going into their home. And what I mean by that is like squatters and different individuals around the neighborhood that may go in and, commit crimes. It could cause us be a haven for crime. And so basically that's why they will prefer them to be boarded up. So I don't think that it's an official housing code violation. And again, if they're keeping the grass cut, it is below 12 inches. Now, I know it doesn't look good for the neighborhood and, it doesn't make the neighbors happy, but just having the property boarded up in itself isn't a violation of the code from that perspective.
Okay. That's unfortunate. Thank you, though.
But I don't think they'll be boarded up for long. Like these houses are getting rehabbed, and it's a lot more investors. Usually when that happens, it's a corporation. I've seen in my experience where corporations own, they may buy, back in the day could buy maybe 10 houses for $100,000, and they just kept them boarded up until a time like this. And in my experience, like I've never lived through anything like this, but someone being that property soon to get into compliance, well, not compliance, but get into a situation where they can sell it, make money, or rent it out.
Yeah, she actually owns 4 properties, but she's demolished 2. She has this one and 1 she has rented out. So I'm like, let's get with it.
Yeah. Maybe you can give her a call and ask her what her intentions are with the property.
I've spoken to her. I have people that knock on my door wanting to buy the property and she won't sell it.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully she does.
It's kind of like, piss or get off the pot.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question is from Ronald Scott. Are there volunteer opportunities for members of the public? And if so, who would we contact for that?
Yeah, there are volunteer opportunities. Like at the beginning of the slide, you see the directors. There'll be the individuals that to contact. You should have a director from the solicitor's office, Ken, which is the director from the public defender's office, municipal court. Their presentation you saw earlier today, their information should be there too. So reaching out to those individuals or just talking to a deputy in any respective property areas. But there are volunteer opportunities throughout all of the agencies, I would say.
Okay, we have a question from Connie McCrary. How many attorneys are currently working in the public defender's office?
I know we have at least 30, I would say. And that ranges from management down to the staff, line staff attorneys.
Mrs. Brooks?
I don't know if this is in your office or not, but commercial properties that are vacant, that are not always boarded up and have squatters in them and all sorts of things going on. There's a property just a couple of blocks away from where I live that's a commercial property owned by commercial entity out of state, and it's been going on like 8 to 10 years and it's just never being resolved. So is this in your office or is it some other?
So it's not in my office. We would represent them if they needed to have representation, but luckily this is a corporation and they have all the money, so we wouldn't represent a corporation.
Right.
However, the solicitors should be getting on later. I know they have a deputy by the name of Erica. That may be an individual that you can contact. She does deal with a lot of commercial properties in the city of Atlanta. I know she was responsible. I don't know if she was responsible by herself, but her team was responsible for some of the blight as far as apartment complex. It's been major articles in the AJC about various properties where the city of Atlanta code enforcement has gone in and held these property owners, apartment complex owners accountable. And they've done some good work behind that. So I would contact her regarding that.
Looking in the chat. I think that's it. So one thing I actually like about when we do the court system, because they are so thorough and straight to the point and matter of fact, we always tend to end early. When I disappeared for those 2 minutes, that was Erica from the solicitor's office who called me, and she's actually sick. So she was trying to find someone to come in and teach her part. But I called her back and it does not look like she has anyone to teach her part. So unfortunately, we will not have the solicitor's office on today. What will happen, I will send out their component, their PowerPoint, as well as the video from last year, which they started on the front end. So literally you can watch the front end of that video so you can get their part. And everyone will still get credit for the course today, but you will have 2 hours of your time back on this beautiful Saturday. So if you want to go to Garden, you know, Home Depot, whatever you do on Saturday, you have plenty of time to get that done. But Henry, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you participating again with us this year in our cohort of the Code Enforcement Academy. Everyone else, I really appreciate you sticking it out for 5 Saturdays bi-weekly. I know that takes a lot because you could be doing anything, you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here. So I really appreciate that. Do I have any questions from anyone?
And if you had a question for the solicitor, I can try to answer it to my best ability. I'm not a solicitor, but in order to be an effective defense attorney, you have to think like a solicitor, because we have to prosecute the client, because in the way we prosecute the client, we'll know if there are defenses, because if we have issues prosecuting the client, these are going to be the same issues the solicitor may have. So,
Okay. Gay?
I had a question for the solicitor. I don't know for sure if you can answer it. I had a car accident in April, and I was pretty badly injured in my car. My brand new car was totaled. The other person whom I hit was at fault, and I got a call from a city solicitor asking me about the accident, and they said that the person was trying to get a pretrial diversion, I guess, to kind of get out of the ticket she got. And I don't know what that is. And I talked to them and I told them how I've been injured pretty badly and that my car was totaled. And they said she probably wouldn't qualify for the program, but like, I guess, how would I know whether?
you can contact the solicitor's office and give them a follow-up on the case as a victim, and they have to provide you with the information how the case was disposed of. But usually the solicitor, the pretrial intervention program is a program that anybody who gets a ticket in the city of Atlanta could go and try to have a ticket not show up on their driver's record. That's basically what the
So that's a reason for someone like her doing that, probably.
Correct. And that's something, and they don't target this to this certain people. This is something that's a general thing that most people know about once they come to court, because it's displayed, and sometimes before you go to court, because they send things out automatically. Now, I did have heard of people participating in pretrial intervention when they've had situations as far as accident, but that only happens if insurance companies, like, they make sure that you're taken care of from an insurance perspective, meaning that their insurance company accepted liability. So.
Oh, okay. I guess I better follow up on that one. I mean, we are going after her insurance company, but you know, it's a long process.
It's two separate things. Like the underlying traffic infraction is considered criminal misdemeanor, and then the whatever happens from a civil perspective, as far as the insurance, that's like civil litigation if it occurs. Sometimes it don't occur, but the actual litigation in court, what I mean, you have a lot of
Right.
negotiations for things of that nature. So
Thank you.
sorry that happened to you. Hope you heal back to 100%.
Thank you.
Miss Mary Lee?
Hey, Henry, can you give us an update on that lawsuit that was filed by the Southern Center against the Public Defenders Council?
Yeah, so thank God we're not a part of that system. That's a state system. So local government, you have city. So that's what we work for. The city of Atlanta, this is local government. You have county, and then you have state, and obviously you have federal. The Georgia Public Defenders Standard Council is a state-run system where they employ public defenders. Obviously, they for the chief public defender all the way down to the line attorneys, and they go to all the counties who opt in. When that is a county that don't opt in, so if you would need a public defender to get appointed a public defender with that, it will obviously be someone from the private bar because they don't opt into the statewide system. But that's the statewide system that the Southern Center has filed a lawsuit because there's people in various jails, not prisons, because prison, once you go to a prison, that means you've been convicted already. But the jails, pre-conviction, they have people allegedly that have not been indicted, have not seen an attorney, and different things of that nature. So we're not a part of that public defender system. But I obviously I know about it, heard about it, and I don't think there's an update as of yet to that. Again, litigation takes a long time. Hopefully the allegations are as true, and if they are true, hopefully they're doing something about it since this lawsuit.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Do we have any more questions for Henry? Oh, all right. Well, let me do my closeout and pull my screen up. Of course, it's not up because my computer shut down. Give me a second, y'all.
Well, you all enjoy your weekend. And hopefully I won't see you in court. Maybe see you in one of the MPU meetings.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Henry. Have a good weekend.
You too. You too.
All
Thank you.
right. Let me share my screen with you all. Try this again. Okay, so unfortunately, Erica was not able to join us, but I will send you all the video from last year. She was very thorough. And if you have any questions that you did not think about in this segment, you can always email me or put them on the evaluation, and I'll make sure that she gets those so that they can be answered. For our upcoming courses in MP University, we have August 21st. Wait a minute, maybe this is someone from her team. We have the, hold on. You might be lucky, y'all. Tiffany?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, are you here for Erica? No, sorry. Nope, didn't. I was really helpful, y'all. But so we have our P1006 Introduction to Geographic Information Systems, GIS. So if you're ever trying to figure out anything regarding the city of Atlanta, like if you need to pull up certain maps, if you want to pull up a map of a neighborhood, of your MPU, if you want to see like zoning things, literally our GIS system is the best way to do it. But if you don't know how to navigate that, this class will show you the basis of doing that. That is August 21st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and it's virtual. Following that course, we have our Parliamentary Procedures 2 course, Managing Discussions around hot topics. I was typing way too fast. That is August 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That is also virtual. Then we have in September, the last of our housing security series, housing resources for tenants. So if you are a renter or you know of a renter, this is a really good course for them so they know what their rights and their resources are here within the city of Atlanta. That is September 7th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and that is virtual. Rounding it out for September, we will have our in-person course is our Atlanta City Design class, which will actually be a fireside without the fire conversation between our commissioner, Commissioner Janae Prince, and the commissioner of ATL DOT, Solomon Cavanis. And that will be September 27, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that is in person. And that is a limited seats course. So please make sure that you register today, pre-register for today. It's going to be at a really nice location. I can't disclose right now, but it's going to be really nice, really intimate, and it's going to give you all a great opportunity to have a one-on-one direct conversation with both of those commissioners and talk to them as to how both the Department of City Planning and ATL DOT help with the Atlanta City Design. Registration and all information for all of our courses can be found on, gosh dog it, npuatlanta.org. And if you need any information, you can visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at NPU Atlanta, as well as on Nextdoor City of Atlanta Neighborhood Planning Units. So if there aren't any questions and if everyone has a sound heart and mind, we can go on and end our Saturday. Everyone's good?
All good. Thank you.
Awesome. So your certificates will be available as early as, we'll say about a week and a half from today. Okay. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a great cohort and I'll see you all at the next class.
Thank you.
See
You're
you
amazing,
soon.
Samantha.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Hey, everyone.